So don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm taking part in a video collaborative YouTube hop with two other YouTube artists. So we've got Gina Ahrens and Grob. Now Gina is in the USA and B is in Switzerland, and obviously I'm here in the UK. So it kind of spans quite a distance. So the aim of this collaboration was one of us would create a mood board with some photos, some colours, and then all three of us would create a project based on that mood board. So I'll show you the mood board in a second. So there's going to be three of these. So I've done the first one. So I think B is going second in October, and then it will be Gina that will take us up to the new year. So what we also have done is we've set up a new Facebook group so that if you want to participate, you can also find the mood boards there. And if you want to have a go, you can also share what projects you make or create using the mood board for the month. We'd also put obviously the mood boards up there as well for you to have a go at. So a true collaboration, and anybody is welcome to join us and show what they create. So without further ado, let me turn over to my overhead camera and I'll show you the mood board, and then I'll get cracking on my project. So this is the first mood board for October. Like I said, I know it's September, but we're going to be releasing these at the end of the month so that you've got the entire of the month ahead in which to participate and share whatever you create on the new Facebook group. And as you can see here, I'll just hold it up to the screen, the new Facebook group is ArtsyTrio because there's three of us. Yeah, I know, it stands to reason. So if you go along there and request to join, then you can share, and also you can chat and use the forum to make new friends as well. So there's that as well. So that's a bigger bonus. So as you can see, so this is the mood board that I've created for October, and I've included some nice kind of autumny colours, some fall colours. We've got some nice oranges, yellows, some kind of brown colours, and a little bit of green thrown in there as well. So there's organics, there's metallics, there's also a bit of fabric in there as well. But use that for your inspiration for whatever you want for your project. There's no set format for this. It's whatever you're inspired to create using the mood board. And like I said, in that Facebook group there will be the mood boards for you to be able to download as well. I'll put a link in the description area below this video to the Facebook group, but there will also be a link to the videos from Gina and from B also, so you can go along and watch theirs after you've watched mine, or perhaps you've come to mine after watching one of theirs. Who knows? That's the beauty of a hop, is you can do it in a big circle or go back and watch them again afterwards. Who knows? Right, so without further ado, I've purchased, I'm going to put that to one side, I've purchased a brand new scrapbook for my projects that I'm going to be creating with Gina and B, because obviously this is going to be a regular thing that we're going to be doing once a month. So this is a 12 by 12 scrapbook journal. The pages are fairly thick, but I can get away with adding mediums and stuff on there. So it's a nice format, and it's a spiral bound one with a hard cover, and it's just a plain white cover. So plenty of scope for decorating down the line as well. And just, let's see if I can flip that back round. There we go. But I'm going to be doing it so that the opening is at the top, if you like. So it's going to be a flip journal as well, which means that if I want to, I can stand it up to display it. And all I have to do is just create some kind of closure to stop it from sliding open and falling flat. Anyway, so that's me. I've got this 12 by 12. I'm not sure what Gina or B has created just yet, because even I haven't seen their videos or projects just yet. I shall be popping across on Wednesday as well to watch. Okay, so my inspiration. So we're going to be taking some of the colours, like I said, from the mood board. So I like the oranges, I like the yellows, and I like the greens but obviously if a few other colours creep in there, that's okay. So I went through my napkin collection and I found this beautiful napkin which has some gorgeous kind of oranges, yellows and green colours, and I think I'm going to use this as my background for my project. So the butterflies kind of tell you which way up it's going to go, but I want to kind of not use this bottom right hand corner as the main kind of anchor focal point for my page. I want it to be up here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this in half and then use top and bottom differently. So the way I'm going to do that without actually ripping too harshly is just to get a water brush, and I've got a water brush somewhere, there we go, and I'm going to very gently just add. Now this is a napkin that was a 3-ply napkin. You can see as I've gone along, the water in here obviously has a little bit of a tint to it because I've obviously used this for something else. It was a 3-ply napkin and I've separated the plies because I only want the top one. So I've just added a little bit of water along there, and that's enabled me to create that tear. And what I can do is I can then swap those over and stick them down that way. So that's going to be where my focal is going to go. So let's just bring back the journal. So we now have this part at the top, and then I can then layer this bit over the bottom. That way the butterflies are all kind of the right way up, and there's no butterflies that are upside down. The flowers are also facing the right way too, which is even better. So I'm going to glue this down onto my page using some matte medium. So I did go out to the shops yesterday and purchase a brand new pot of Galleria matte medium. I also picked up a pot of Deco Mache. Now I thought I'd picked up the matte, but I hadn't. I've accidentally picked up the gloss. So that's not really what I wanted. But hey ho. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take some of the matte medium and I'm just going to add a little bit onto the page just to kind of anchor it down. And I'm going to just pull it slightly shy of the springs, and then I'm just going to go back over the top. And that's just going to hold it down then, so it's not going to move. And then I can just go over the top, just smoothing out with my brush. Now, because the napkin is thin, the matte medium is going to soak right the way through to the surface below and bond to the paper. I'm not particularly bothered about the edges. I will tear those off later, so I'm not particularly bothered if they lift up a little bit. But I'm working very slowly from the middle of the napkin out, and if there's a little bit of wrinklage, a little bit of creasing, that doesn't matter because it's going to give me just a little bit of extra texture in the background. Just working from the middle out. There we go. And I'm just smoothing down if there's any air bubbles or little lumps. Like I said, I don't mind a little bit of wrinklage. At my age, you kind of expect it. So that's the first kind of layer going down. So now I can take that bottom part and I can get some more of that glue on the medium, and I can just add that across the top. While it's still wet, I can then grab my tissue and I can layer that back over like so. And that will kind of seamlessly blend back into the project. And then I can just add the glue and the medium. Just get you back in shot so you can see. And I'm not bothered if there are some inconsistencies. I don't particularly want it. I'm not bothered if when I tear these edges off it comes into the page. That just adds a little kind of decorative frame to it. But this is a great way of creating a nice base for your project. Now you can add whatever you want to, obviously. Parts of a tissue when you're using the napkins, or you can use the whole thing depending on the pattern. Napkins are a great way to get some layer onto a background for very, very little money. Okay. There we go. So I'll just drop my brush into some water, close up that matte medium, and then we'll get this dried off, and then I'll be right back. And it shouldn't take long. Okay, so my napkin is dry, so I've refilled my water brush with some clean water, and I'm just going to go just round the edge of the pages, just allowing that to soak in, and then I can just gently then peel the edge away from the page. This way I get like a nicer kind of soft feathered edge rather than just a straight harsh line. But the harsh lines are quicker. There we go. It's just softer, I think. Of course, because I've added matte medium over the top of this, it's not quite as absorbent as it was. But still okay. Like I said, it doesn't matter if we rip just into the page to expose a little bit of the edge of the page, because it just adds a nice kind of grungy frame to it. So I think this is the first time I've actually done a collaboration for a couple of years actually, so I thought it was about time. So when the collaboration was suggested by B in Switzerland, I thought, do you know what? Yeah. Particularly since it's with my friend Gina. Gina and I have been YouTube friends for, well, since I started basically back in 2015. We've collaborated and worked together on different projects over the years, and sometimes YouTube friendships come and go. People get, you know, success of their own, disappear off. But Gina's always been there. We've always maintained our friendship, which is good because it's nice. She's a very, very, very lovely lady. B, I've only just met. So until we actually started doing or talking about this collaboration, I hadn't really been aware of what she did. But since I've had a look, like what she does, I love her assemblage pieces. So yeah, it seemed a good fit. So I'm looking forward to working with B again in the future. So there we go. So I've gone all the way around, removed the bits from the edge. So what I want to do now is I want to knock some of this colour back. Obviously The colours on this page are really, really vibrant, and some of the colours aren't necessarily what I want for the project looking at the mood board. Now there are some colours in there, like I said, there's the oranges, there's the yellows, and there's the greens, but there's some pinks in there which just not kind of the right 100% fit with what I kind of wanted for the page. So I'm going to grab some white gesso, and for this one I'm using the white gesso from Indigo Blue, G So Good in white, just in case you can't see through the pot. And they are see-through pots because the black one so I've got my clean brush, so I'm going to just shake up the gesso. I do that to get some paint in the lid because I use the lid as a kind of palette. There we go. And then I've also got a spritzer bottle of water, so I'm going to add a little bit of that gesso onto my work surface, water it down a little bit, and then I can start just to kind of like soften some of those areas that I don't particularly want standing out too much. I'm not too bothered about this side over here. You'll see why when I get further on, because I do have a plan for a change on this one. I kind of know what I want to achieve with it, so we're just kind of going round, and I'm just knocking back some of that pink just to kind of blend that out. And I can add as much water to the gesso just to kind of feather and blend as I want. So I can go heavier in the darker areas and then add a little bit of water to that gesso and then just slowly kind of fade it out. But like I said, this area over here, not too worried about because it will kind of disappear into the background. And I can go kind of like around the edges where there's that pink. Up there. I can get rid of that and then just smooth it out. Just kind of hides it a little. I'm just kind of going a little bit around the edges just to soften those. So wherever I see any of that kind of pink showing through, I can just add maybe just a little bit more and then just blend. Just gently brush. And it just knocks it into the background. Just use my finger. Because we've got the matte medium on there, there is a little bit of resist and you can lift a little bit of the colour, which is fine. By colour, I mean the white gesso. You have got time just to lift it. There we go. Okay, so that's that step. So we'll just get that dried off. I won't put the gesso away because I'll be needing that again in a little while. And I did have a wet wipe. There we go, because I don't want to get my elbow in it. Okay, let's get that dried off. Doesn't look much at the moment. Okay, so that first layer of gesso where we've knocked back those pinks is pretty dry. So I probably will, what's that doing there? What an escaped butterfly. It's from this kit that's here, look. There's a few others. I've been trying out and auditioning some pieces. Right, okay, so I've decided that I need to go heavier with the gesso. So I'm just going to grab that gesso again, and then I've got another brush which is in the water, but this time I'm going to go straight on and just knock back a lot. Just add a little bit of water and go through, removing a lot more of that green. Even though green is part of the mood board, it's still kind of a bit too busy for me. So a bit heavy with the gesso up there. I'm just kind of isolating some of the butterflies, and I'm just going a little lighter, and I can just rub with my finger. Not too bothered too much about, I nearly dipped my brush in my tea then. Hope you didn't see that. Right. So if you're joining me and you've never been to my YouTube channel before, welcome. So if you're coming to me from B or Gina and you're completely new, say hi in the comments please, just so that I know. Just get a wet wipe and I can just lift some of that gesso back off again. There we go. Just work from the outside. We've got a kind of purpley butterfly up there, which I think we can sort of eliminate. A bit more white gesso over there. Like I said, I'm not particularly bothered about this side over here because it will be covered up anyway with my focal point. But that's more like it. Okay. Happier with the background now. Just give that a quick once over. You see how it all starts to come back again if you just lift a little bit with a baby wipe. That's okay, lovely. Right, so again, I'm just going to dry that off. And then we'll be back. Okay, so that second coat of gesso is now dry, and a lot of those colours have been knocked into the background now, which is absolutely fantastic. So what I've done is I've taken my cue from one of the photos in the mood board, which obviously is the sunflowers, because, you know, I absolutely adore sunflowers. It's one of my favourite flowers of all time. So I've gone through my collage collection, and I've pulled out this big, huge, massive sunflower, and that's going to be the focal point. Now you can see why I wasn't particularly bothered about this area over here, because I knew I was going to cover most of that up, and I wanted the butterflies centering up this side because I want my sunflower down here like so. Perfect amundo. So I've got my matte medium again. Now I just need to clear a little bit of space because this is going to get interesting. So I'll put that over there so you can see it, and then I'm going to bring my image over this side. So the brush, I'm going to pick up some matte medium and I'm going to do the back of my image first. Get some matte medium on there. Like so. And then I'm going to quickly, he says, that's stuck to my finger, get off. I'm going to quickly go right back over the page and add a real liberal coat, which is going to seal in that area. But also, I'm not sure exactly where my image is going to be, or where it's going to sit, until I flip it over and lay it down. Now, because I've also added it to the back, that will kind of help to eliminate any wrinkles and bubbles. So now I'm going to add a coat over the top, starting from the inside, the middle, working my way out, pushing out any bubbles or wrinkles. And because I'm also using matte medium, it's also going to hopefully eliminate any shine from the image itself, because this was printed originally using a colour laser printer. So that should eliminate any wrinkles or bubbles. You will get wrinkles and bubbles normally if you don't do the back. If you do the back of your images, you tend to get rid of most of the bubbles and the wrinkles. It's all got to do with surface tension with the adhesives. Smaller pieces I'm not particularly bothered about, but the larger piece like that I don't particularly want wrinkles and bubbles in. So there we go. So that is now part of my pattern. So the bumps and wrinkles you can see where it's shiny, that's from the tissue paper underneath, not from the actual image itself. Okay, so once again, let's get it dried off and then we'll be back. That's all dry now, and as you can see, the majority of that shine has gone off the page now. So what I want to do is I want to introduce some more colour. So I've got some yellow ochre spritz here that I'm going to just add into just a couple of the areas . Just let that soak and run a little bit. Just going to help disguise and hide that white. Just blend the colours a bit more in. I'm not using too much of the colour because the paper is obviously a little bit wrinkly now. We're going to get a bit more texture in that background. Just a little bit there, maybe a bit there. It just kind of helps to blend a bit more into the background. So I'm going to get that dried off. There's a lot of drying time on these projects. Of course, that's now dribbling onto the plant, onto the leaves. So just grab a piece of kitchen towel and I can just lift that off. There we go. Let's get that dry quick. Okay, so before it's all completely dry, it's starting to kind of look a bit more organic in nature. I'm going to just bring a couple of other colours out. So that was the yellow ochre. So I've got an orange one here. So I just want to make sure, yeah, that's fine. So just start to warm up those colours a little bit in the background by adding some orange on top of the yellow ochre. So the reason I'm drying and spritzing at the same time is so that I encourage it to dry without it running too far. Okay, so now that that yellow and the orange has dried on that background, you can see it has kind of warmed it up considerably, and where we had those kind of pinky areas, they've kind of disappeared off into the background now, and it's more of an organic mottled kind of feel rather than something that feels maybe sometimes forced when we add colours. So that's why I love to use those spritz, because they pretty much do their own thing and fall into their own places. So really happy with the way that looks right now. So the next thing I want to do is just to add a couple more of those pieces that I had earlier. Now there was some other butterflies, now a nice big white one which was there, but I don't think now, I think it's going to be too much. So that's what I had these other pieces out for, was to add these in. But to be honest, knowing when to say no and when to say, do you know what, I don't think so. Yeah, that's exactly the way I feel about those at the minute. So I'm not going to add any of those whatsoever. So what I will do is I will just create some highlights on the front just by adding some white splatters. Now rather than using gesso, I'm going to use acrylic paint. So I just need to get my white acrylic, if I can find it. There it is. It's nothing better than having everything at your fingertips, is there? Okay, so the white acrylic I'm going to be using is the Americana Deco Art. And this is the titanium white, or snow as they call it. Now I am aware that because I've used water-based pigments for that orange and yellow mottling in the background, it may affect you the colour of what I'm about to do. So I'll just give it a shake up just to make sure the binder and the pigment is mixed. There we go. And then I want a fan brush, or I need a fan brush. And we'll add some water to the acrylic. And then I'll just put my hand over the top of that. And we'll add the white splatters. Like I said, I am aware that some of these will blend into the background, they'll mix with that pigment, and we will lose some of the white vibrancy, but I don't mind that. So I can always come back and add more later. Nice big splatters over there, look. That's it. Like I said, they will kind of disappear off into the background. And again, it's knowing when to say that's enough for your splatters. So that's enough for the splatters. I'm going to let those sit and dry. But because I've got one or two on the middle, I'm just going to lift that off. Now because we've put that medium coating over the top, we can lift some colours before they dry. Once they're dry, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But if you get them before, a bit easier. You can see how you've got that breakup now of that colour. So we can just go around, just lifting some of those white splatters away from the butterflies. But I think I'm happy with that. Look at that. Very, very happy with that. So I'll just leave that to dry and then I'll be back. Okay, so everything's pretty much dry now, so you can see where those white splatters have kind of disappeared more into the background. Those butterflies up there now just look like shadows, and it's just a lot more subtle and just breaks up that background, so you've not got those big blocks of colour. So the last thing that I want to do for my project is to add a quote for it. Now, I always like to print my quotes out, if I can, on the computer, because I can play with sizes and font types. So I've done this 2 different sizes because I think probably this one is more appropriate size. Actually, maybe I'll go for the smaller one. And I've printed them on the card because I can add colour to it before I cut them out. So I'll just move my art journal page to one side, and I can just grab that yellow ochre spritzer like I did before, and I can just gently add a little bit of colour and then dry it off. And it really doesn't take a lot of time. Then all you need to do is just grab your scissors, trim your quote out, I think I will go with a smaller one. And I always think hand cut rather than with a trimmer is a lot better. And then maybe a little bit slimmer on the bottom, so we've got a kind of an even gap top and bottom. And then if we want, we can just trim those off, maybe just at a little bit of an angle. Same again. Maybe just a little bit more off that top side. There we go. So maybe that's a bit too, I think the capital letters just make it look a bit chunkier. That's perfect. Okay, so bring my journal back in, and then we can add the quote. Now, as you can see, it does kind of blend a little better there rather than the stark white. So we just need to grab some glue. Don't want to use spirit glue for this, so let's see what we've got. Did have a bottle of Elmer's somewhere. There it is. This is the stuff that goes on purple, but because I've left it out, it's already started to fade. It was bright purple before. Let's bring that down to the bottom. Okay. We got it? Yes, we have. So just add some of that glue just to the back, and I reused an old piece of card, which is why there's some text on the back of this already. Bring that down to about there. Make sure we've kind of got it straight. And I've used a smaller typeface because I didn't want it to be overpowered or overpowering on the page. I could have done hand lettering, but the fear of making a complete muck up stopped me from doing it by hand. sometimes you do art journal pages and it just not all that, doesn't really matter whether you make a muck up on the lettering, but for this I didn't want to muck it up. So rather than take the chance, I decided to do it on the computer. Plus, doing it on the computer allows you to play with fonts and sizes. There we go. Turn your face to the sun and the shadows will fall behind. So true. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do is, if I can find my Stabilo All pencil. There we go, there's my Stabilo All. And I've got my water brush that I filled up again. There we go, that's my water brush, already filled up, raring to go. Make sure that the bristles are clean. What I want to do, I want to add just a little bit of shadow just at this side of my sunflower. Because we've talked about shadows in our quote, and you may be thinking, that looks a bit dark. Don't worry, trust me. So the water pencil, or the water pen, should add a little bit of water to it, and that will just activate, and we can just pull that out and work it away from the edge. Now don't worry if you think it looks too dark. All will become apparent in a little while. Okay. Just clean that off. With this, you can just continue to add the water until you're happy with the blend out of your shadow. And every time you go back in, it will lift and take just a little bit more away. So it becomes a lot more subtle each time you go back in. And if you feel that you've got too much of a dark line, like there, just grab your baby wipe and just lift it. It's water soluble, so it's really kind of pliable and easy to fix. But you get a really nice kind of subtle effect just by going in and moving the pencil. So if you think it's too dark, just add a little bit more water and go and blend it out, and then you can always lift just turn that around. So it just blends away practically to nothing, but you've still got that dark kind of shadow just where you wanted it. Bit more water, there we go, and it just disappears off. So let's bring it back round so you can see we've got that shadow there. Still maybe just a little bit too heavy. And I think I just need a little bit just there. Not enough, add a bit more. Too much, take it away. There we go. So I'm going to do the similar thing up here, just underneath and to the sides of the quote. I'm not going to use a huge amount because it really doesn't need it. Just a little bit of a shadow just to emphasize the quote. So just add that tiny little drop shadow. Just had a horrible felt then that I wasn't actually recording. I just had to double check. It's happened before, trust me. Got halfway through a project and realised I'd not turned the camera on. It's happened so many times. Sometimes you get so wrapped up in what you're doing. Here we go. This is one of those cases where it doesn't matter if you get just a little bit too much, because you can take it away. Obviously, too little you can add, but with this you can take away. These Stabilo All pencils are a definite must for everybody's art journaling kit. Ooh, he says drop in the brush. Just a tad more, I think. My brain's telling me just to add a bit more shadow. There we go. I think, whoops, just knocked my phone over. I think, actually, just maybe, I might want to add a bit more down here. And again, you can just keep on adding until you're happy, really. Just don't drop your pencil on the floor, like I've just done. I've got the wet wipe there, so I can just go in and just subtly blend that edge and reach down and pick up my pencil. There we go. A bit more up here. Maybe taking a bit too much away. And it's okay, obviously, to finesse until you're happy. Yeah, I think maybe just a little bit more over there. I think maybe that will do. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to call that a day. So all I need to do now is just to sign and date it. So I'll sign it down here and put today's date, which is the 27th of September, just in time for this to go live on Wednesday. And there it is. There is my art journal project based on the colours of the mood board for October, even though this has been released in September. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create my project using the mood board for the ArtsyTrio YouTube hop. If you have enjoyed watching this, please remember to give the video a thumbs up because it really does help. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, for more videos like this one, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. If you haven't visited Gina or B's YouTube channel just yet, then you can do so by clicking their links in the description area below this video. And also the Facebook group link for the ArtsyTrio, where you can download the mood board graphics and share what you create based on the mood board, is also in that description area below the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.